Hi everyone, welcome to Ethernal Realms. In this video, we will take a look at what is going on in September in the skies up above. What are the planets doing and how can we flow with those energies? So this month, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto, all the big planets, all the outer planets are in retrograde, which means that all the big questions that we have about life, where do we want to be headed, what are our priorities, things like that, they are going to be answered from within. We might be compelled to look outward, but the real answer that is going to convince you is going to come from within. Pluto ruling personal transformation, Uranus ruling exposing your uniqueness, Neptune ruling what does your intuition say instead of the collective vibe. Saturn retrograde meaning what is the authenticity, what are structures that work for you, which might not work for other people, and Jupiter retrograde meaning consult your inner sage, that is kind of corresponding to the Hermit card. We also have Mercury moving retrograde this month. We will get into it when the aspect happens, but basically Mercury is the planet of the mind and it helps translate the bigger questions and the bigger answers into something you can apply every day. So that being retrograde along with the bigger planets, it might work out really well. So we'll see what we have first. On the 2nd of September, we have Mercury in Libra opposite Jupiter in Aries, and Jupiter is retrograde and Mercury is still direct. So there is a need to connect and communicate with like many people. There is a tendency to overpromise and underdeliver because of the opposition here. You might overestimate the amount of time you might need or the amount of knowledge you might need to get something done. And how many people can you actually connect with and also make time for yourself? That's a question that will come up here. There is an openness to like big ideas and new sparks. So this can be really exciting if you use it in that manner. It is a good time to kind of evaluate the existing principles and ideals and belief systems that you currently live by and how is that impacting the way you approach your relationships and is there anything needing to be modified? So there can be a push and pull on both of these aspects, but it's basically trying to get you to find a balance point here. So there is a tendency to miss out things because the energy is quick moving, so we might kind of run back and forth across different people, different conversations. It can happen that we kind of misplace the conversations we had with one person, with another person, so watch out for that. And if you're doing anything written, then maybe get an expert to take a look at it because, there will be the shadow period of Mercury already started. Okay, then on the 3rd, we have Mercury in Libra again, trining Mars in Gemini. Trines are a positive aspect, so there is plenty of willpower to get stuff done. Whatever we want to set our mind to, we can actually accomplish. There are passionate connections we can build here. New connections perhaps, but like deepening of connections that we have already established. We might find some common interests here that we can gel on, so it is extra exciting here. So like-minded, intelligent connections can happen here, and if you're working by yourself, then proactive and clear thinking attitude here. It's a nice day for brainstorming overall. On the 5th, Venus is moving from Leo to Virgo, so the love language is changing from self-love to self-care, okay? When Venus was in Leo, there is like more compliments and praises and wanting to look good for the self, wanting to compliment the self. Those would work on enhancing the love you feel for yourself and also others, plus your environment. But now it is going to be about the little things, doing the little things that would make someone happy. So if you've already established a connection with someone, this is a wonderful phase to deepen that bond, get to know them, like what are their routines, what are their interests apart from work, how do they work, what is their daily habits, something they just do for a sign of good luck, what are the little things, knickknacks that they do. Venus over here can also make us very grounded and balanced. It wants us to connect with nature, get in touch with earth, having root vegetables, fitness, diet, exercise, all those things. Like how do you maintain the physical in order to feel love, feel active, feel confident about yourself and the way you express. Those things are going to come up here and we will be working through the topics. Caring is loving, that would be the mantra here. Now Mercury turns retrograde in Libra on the 10th of September. So over here we are going to be evaluating the connections in life, what people are helping us and what people are not. There is a need to find a balance. amongst the connections we've made, amongst the communication we've had with other people, we need to identify what works well for us, what do we need to prioritize, what is truly important to us, and what can be delayed for a moment, what should be put to a pause or needs to be thought about a little bit. So on the other side, we can also learn a lot from other people. So we're kind of going through the conversations we've had recently, and we're like, I see that in a new light. So what is our perspective towards relationships, connections, building new connections, all those things? What is our attitude towards one-on-one relationships of any type? And those can come up. And if there is skewed perceptions, that is going to be healed here. It's a nice time to declutter and find balance, as with any Mercury retrograde. The approach that you have towards communication with one-on-one people as well can come up. All of the Mercury retrograde rules apply, which would be that no big term contracts, no finalization, none of the big decisions. This is about turning inward. Okay, so that is big deal with Mercury retrograde. Planning travels, if you book tickets at this time, moving forward, then it is going to be prone to delays, or that you plan otherwise once Mercury is direct again. So you'll have to reschedule later on. If you have some important documentation going on, there's going to be a lot of back and forth. It has happened each and every time. And, each and every time I think, maybe this time it won't happen. And yet it does. So just watch out for that. On the 10th, we also have the full moon in Pisces. So this can be a bit restless because the sun and the moon are squaring Mars, which is in Gemini. And Gemini is a mutable sign. Pisces is a mutable sign, and right opposite Pisces, the sun is going to be in Virgo. That's also mutable. Everything is mutable, so there's constantly fluctuating energetic levels. We might be prone to be moody. Full moon really does bring out our mood and emotions. So it's a nice time to go with the flow, and it's an amazing time to connect with your intuition. Weird, because Pisces is the most intuitive here, and moon being there, that's crazy high priestess vibe here. Okay, so awesome time to connect with your intuition and go with the flow. There can be many different ideas that come up though, and there's also the drive with Mars to get stuff done. So make it a kind of a priority to meditate and also define a workflow. Have an idea of where you want to be headed or what is of importance to you, what brings you fulfillment, joy, and happiness. And then with Virgo, write that down, make that list, note the ideas that come to you through meditation or throughout your day. Randomly, there might be sparks and flashes of inspiration. Write those things down or record it somewhere and revisit it at a later time. But the ideas that come up here, that can be something important to you, or it can also bring in some realization. So tune in. Okay, but it's a good time to balance the need for the work and rest. How much rest do you actually need? How much time can you work? Things like that. Yeah, so the formula would be focusing meditation, jotting down creative ideas, and getting to them one by one. That would be a way. And we do have help from Mercury trining Mars. I'll get into it in just a second. And Sun is also trining Uranus at North Node. So there are two trines to help us out through this. But yeah, just the full moon energy is a little bit tricky. Now on the 11th, we have Sun in Virgo trining Uranus in Taurus. That is retrograde. So we make changes to our fitness, exercise, diet plans, all those things, and we can even make some financial decisions. So shifting around lifestyles and what types of meal you have, that can have a positive effect on the amount of money you're trying to make or save, things like that. Okay, so these two would be in flow, in harmony. And you can also find that you can make some adjustment to accommodate for a new lifestyle that you have not gotten to yet, but you have wanted to for a while. And measured and actionable changes can be made. There's nothing too drastic because Uranus is retrograde, so it's kind of something you set your mind to, and you're okay, I'm going to change this now. I'm going to tweak this a little bit now. So it's one by one changes that makes us feel better about our lifestyle. Now Saturn in Aquarius retrograde is squaring Uranus in Taurus retrograde on 15th. It is quite close, but up until this point and even moving forward, in the background throughout the month is this aspect. So this one is about the battle in the independence that we feel within ourselves, within the existing structures, and the changes we want to make to our existing set points. This has begun since December 2021, and it is still working its magic, okay? So what systems are helping you grow and what systems are constricting you? That's a question that comes up now that we know what can bring us greater freedom. And because both are retrograde, we have to be creative with our thoughts and the solutions we come up with. We can be clever around this time. You just never thought of seeing it that way, and now you can. Okay, the way you earn money can be brought to focus of the type of food you consume. This impact on my health bring me freedom or constriction? How do I heal that? Then on 16th, we have Venus in Virgo squaring Mars in Gemini. We have motivation and energy to do a lot of things, but we don't quite know what we want to engage in. It's part of the whole Mars immutable sign thing. But what would make us feel good would be something methodical, curl up with a good book, or care for something or someone, be of service to someone. But it kind of sounds a little bit too slow for Mars. Okay, hence the square aspect. They're not really gelling here. So this can feel a bit frustrating in that moment. Okay, you want to do something, but then your energy levels are really fast, so you can't really relax even if you try to, that type of thing. But there is another way this can play out. We have like a lot of communications, reading and learning that we need to do, but at the same time it's hard to focus one thing at a time because we have so much to get done. The solution here is that we need to just list things down and go at it one by one. Virgo just does things methodically, and as long as you do that with the energy, you're channeling the energy instead of dissipating it, right? And it might feel unintuitive that, you can put your mind at ease, and that's why making the lists actually help. So you get it out of your mind, you're like, okay, now I know what I'm gonna do. I'll start with this one. That helps you focus. So Mercury is retrograde, and it is unable to channel the Martian energy. Mercury rules Gemini, sitting elsewhere, but Mercury rules Gemini, and if it was direct, then it could help Mars a little bit more to channel it. But since the ruler itself is in a weakened position, Mars is kind of open to do whatever it wants here, right? So it is up to us to take on the reins and make that flow. Okay, take breaks, eat, hydrate, stretch, go for a quick run or jog. Things like that can really help you work out that energy in a Virgo manner. Now, same day, we have Sun in Virgo opposite Neptune in Pisces. Neptune is retrograde. So universal answers in the everyday. That's something that can happen here. Sun rules the clarity, and right opposite Neptune is retrograde, the intuitive voices can come up loud and clear, but it is through doing basic things like washing your dishes, for example. It is easier to understand practical solutions than purely intuitive ones because Virgo likes to understand things in a practical manner. Finding practical ways of engaging intuition and sparking creativity can really help you flow with this energy much faster and effectively, especially if you're an artist or a healer. Connecting to the earth is effective, so grounding, being in nature, that is a wonderful way to engage that intuition here. Okay, soulful connections, that's what this aspect is trying to get us into, because Neptune is all soulful, it rules Pisces. Pisces is all about the soul. On the 19th, we have Sun in Virgo trining Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto being retrograde. So this is a nice time to lock in on an intention, set a goal, and plan the day to get there, one step at a time. Okay? Whenever we say Virgo, we're going to go one step at a time in order to make the most use out of it. Okay? You can really gather momentum here because Pluto is a faraway planet. Whatever is set into motion, it's like a very deep set thing. So if you can transform the deep set thing, you can propagate the new reality forward. So you can acquire momentum in what ambitions you have, and you can establish constructive solutions to empower yourself. Now, since this one is a positive aspect, you can also gain this feeling of empowerment from other people as well, but it is a result, as you will see, that you changed your subconscious programming, you changed the way that you're perceiving the world, and the world is kind of responding to you. It's like, I see you, you did this, and you really are coming off more confident or more powerful, more in control of things, more in charge of things. So you can get some pat on the back for a job well done type of things, some encouragement from the people in authority or the experts in the field. There are questions that can be asked here of what needs to heal regarding career, ambition, authority, power, ego, lifestyle habits, and care. Okay, these topics come up and these insights are here to help you. Whatever you establish or whatever you intend here, that can last a while. On the 20th, we have Venus in Virgo, trining Uranus in Taurus. Long-standing health and self-esteem issues, they can be worked through in this time because of the trine here. There can be alternative healing methods that appeal to you, like Reiki and Ayurveda. And switching up your love language, that can be really exciting here. Uranus is retrograde, but that's why it's kind of more in your control. It's not about external shocks and surprises that come up here. It's exciting that you can incorporate without being too drastic with things. Okay, it's the little tweaks. And Venus being in Virgo is not really a fan of shocks. Okay, so loving yourself and supporting yourself and others who are important to you, that can be a wonderful way to show your care and affection for someone. And find inspiration and liberation within existing relationships to feel fulfillment and a heightened sense of love. Okay, so you've already established the connection. Sit down and appreciate them for a moment. Just even if you don't say it out loud, you can say it to yourself. It's more the thought and the feel that matters here. So that would be a nice way to deepen the bond as well. And on the 22nd of September, the sun is moving from Virgo to Libra. So happy birthday, Libras. The focus of the collective now is changing. Okay, now it is going to move into level-headed judgment, balanced perspectives, connecting with others, seeing the other perspective, right? There is diplomacy, more aesthetic, beauty, and fairness and equality. These topics are more in the forefront in the world. Now, since Libra is a cardinal sign, it is action-oriented. So if it has set a mind on something, it's like, that is not fair, that is unjust, and this is not how it should be, then it will do something about it. So we have a more proactive mind towards social concerns moving from this state here. One thing with Libra to keep in mind is that it can be difficult to establish personal authority unless you're highly personalized. Then in this way you're learning about the other person as well. But in general, it can be difficult to establish just an individual perspective, since Libra is about other people. It's about the connections, the relationship that we build between two people. Right, so it emphasizes on the unity of things rather than the individuality. It is there within it, of course, and it has very strong perspectives, but it really takes into account the other person's view as well. Taken one too far, it can be tough to know your own opinion, so it is important to ask questions like, okay, I agree with this perspective, but does it match with my own? And if not, can I learn something from this person? If yes, think about it, incorporate it. But if it does not resonate to you, don't give in to the peer pressure here, because that can be a tendency, doesn't have to be. Also, Libra being the sign of the others, we can see ourselves in others. Okay, we might find parts of ourselves in each and every person, and that's what kind of emphasizes the unity between all of us. And of course, we all have many things in common despite different cultures or whatever. But over here in this season, you're really noticing those commonalities here. So it can emphasize, it can enhance the amount of love and kinship that you feel with other people here. Once again, if you've established a connection here, then it can be a nice time to take that forward, make that like a one-on-one committed type of relationship if it feels right. We can also note our relationship patterns as well. By the way, I can't believe I didn't mention that first, but Libra is about relationships, so we can observe what patterns we exhibit, how we are seen by others, and what can we do to modify our image in the eyes of others. On the 23rd, Sun in conjuncting Mercury in Libra. Mercury is retrograde. So there is an opportunity to connect with the inner self here, make space for regeneration, make way for spirit, listen to the spirit here, meditate, because the mind is going to be really refreshed and rejuvenated here. While in retrograde, Mercury is kind of dimmed, and it's there's a lot going on within, creates those hiccups because it wants to emphasize the need to tune in. Take it as a blessing, don't treat it like it's a problem. It can be annoying in the moment, but it has a purpose as well. So Sun conjuncting with Mercury here rejuvenates Mercury. So beyond that point, it kind of starts speeding up bit by bit. So yeah, it's a nice turning point here. Okay, now Mercury is still in retrograde, but it's retrograding back from Libra to Virgo here. So over here, the information that we've gathered from different people and different sources, while in Libra, now we want to use to charter our path forward. Like we see what we have done so far, and we revise the conversations and perspectives we've seen and heard, and we're like, how does that fit into what I'm wanting to create? What changes need to be made in the way that I'm living? Perhaps you learn of a new exercise regimen from one of your friends, and it's much easier and it burns calories faster or whatever, whatever your plan is, but it is more effective than you had planned. But that might mean that you have to shift your schedule a bit. Perhaps instead of working out in the evening, you work out in the morning, and that would need you to wake up a bit earlier. So there are some changes and adjustments that need to be made, but those adjustments are going to make you feel a lot better, a lot clearer in the mind. So this is a time to translate existing information into something practice-worthy. We can also identify what is really important in our lives, what needs to stay, what needs to go, decluttering as always with Mercury, but this can be about the workspace, the desk that you have, maybe changing the work setup, the work routine, the patterns, and how can you approach different parts of your work. Like some parts might be a bit more boring than the others. So how would you tackle that more productively? Topics around that can come up here. It can also be that you change where you work, where you meet, like perhaps you go to a cafe once in a while to work. Now on 24th, Venus in Virgo is opposite Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune is in retrograde. In this aspect here, we are noticing what has been idealized for a bit too long regarding love, relationships, the way we feel about ourselves. With Neptune in retrograde, it is a disillusioning type of energy. It's like, okay, enough romanticizing, enough rose-colored glasses, see things for what they are. Because when you know reality, you can then work with it more effectively. Instead of spinning castles and clouds, you know that, okay, that's a cloud, that's an image, that's an imagination. Now what do I do over here? And how do I apply that here? Right? Like, is that even practical? Is this logical? Things like that. Okay, come up here. So there can be a feeling of disillusionment because it's just different for different people. Okay, so meanwhile, Venus in Virgo, like this is the healthy way to be. This is how a balance can be created. This is the correct way to work in order to be most efficient and productive and blah, blah, blah. So it can be like a little bit jarring, a little bit surprising if there are some illusions that you're carrying forward here. Otherwise, if you're open to information, either it is intuitive or from other people, then this is a wonderful time to, once again, rebalance yourself. But finding that key between how much do you rest, how much do you, work on something. Because when you're on the go, it can be hard to just stop. So this would be a time where, you go like, okay, I can't keep pushing, I can't keep doing, I need to prioritize myself and my care, and I need to like myself, or I need to keep myself healthy if I want to complete the dreams and the visions that I have. Now on the 25th of September, we have a new moon in Libra. This moon is exactly opposite Jupiter, who's in Aries. So this gives us good negotiating powers. We have, again, good diplomacy. Harmonizing abilities are as well very good. We are respecting our principles and beliefs here, and compromising in a way that there is a win-win instead of one person begrudgingly agreeing. Okay, so it's a real win-win. So that is possible. We can also learn new ways of connecting and harmonizing with people, by the way. It's also about relating to our environment. How do we relate to that? That can come up. Mars is turning in the backdrop, so that gives us a lot of push, a lot of motivation to get done and adjust things that need to be getting done and adjusted. So setting goals that are doable instead of big promises that we then do not work with, and then we feel bad about ourselves. That is not happening in this new moon here. So it's a very nice time to set your intentions on balance, peace, beauty, happiness, fulfillment, and also relationships. Okay? Relationship goals. Yes, there's a nice time to set that. You can begin your manifestations on that as well. On the 26th, we have Sun in Libra opposite Jupiter in Aries, and Jupiter is retrograde. So here there can be over-promising and under-delivering, kind of. They're still there in the background with just a smidge, but the other things are helping it out a little bit. But just watch out for that. On the positive side, it is an awesome opportunity for self-development and spiritual growth, and there is clarity about others and relating with others because of the self-development. We acknowledge that we made certain mistakes and we're like, I'm going to use this lesson and feel empathy for others along the same or similar journey. There are relationships of all types in the forefront, and this creates long-term internal shifts in terms of the self, identity, and personality as well, since Sun is present here. On the 26th, we have Mercury, which is retrograde, conjuncting Venus in Virgo, and that is trining Pluto in Capricorn in retrograde. So there can be insights from within that create more lasting changes here. And these solutions can come for long-standing problems. So something you've been going through for a while that can be solved here. So it is time to express yourself, clear the air, provided that the situation is something that began in the past and not like initiated that day. But with the trine aspect, it seems like something from the past is coming up, and it's just been purged and cleansed and just released, just done. It's a very nice time to really finish off cycles. 26th and 25th was the new moon, really. So what relationship do you have to the past and past connections? Those things can come up as well, right? So it's a nice time to release all that and have new realizations for what you want to be creating, what you want your mindset and perspective to be, what type of relationships and environment do you want to be living and working in. A change in lifestyle is also going to bring in more peace and balance and prosperity to your life here. On the 28th, we have Mars in Gemini trining Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn is retrograde. Because Saturn is retrograde, there can be changes in the existing structures, just needing to modify, tweak a little bit. And with Mars in Gemini, it's very clever and nifty over there, so it can make do with very little. We want to know a lot more, we want to explore a lot more, we want to do something about that as well because of that Mars agitation, but this aspect is blessing that. So whatever we want to learn, we might find the right resources, we might find information that was already there, but we had never opened that book or never, clicked on that video, we had never talked to that person, even if, they were there, at least about that topic, and then we might choose to, approach them or that source and see that, hey, this is very expansive, and this can really show you where you need to be making necessary modifications in your space, in your mindset, in the collective. How do you want to be coming across in the collective here? Voicing yourself clearly, coherently, decisively. These things are blessed here because of Saturn's influence here. There is definitely a lot of energy and confidence to explore the areas that interest us. Social media and the social environment can be a topic that comes up in the collective. It becomes quite important whether you want to stay in social media, do you want to leave certain apps, you want to come up with something new if you are able to. Now on the 29th, Venus moves from Virgo to Libra. Love language is shifting again from caring to sharing. So you're establishing equal partnership with mutual respect and care and service towards one another. You are able to meet each other intellectually. You want to connect with the mind. You want to see if that matches after learning about the lifestyle and routines. Dressing well, makeup that suits you, doing your hair like you want, developing your own personal style, going shopping, and working on relationship style. Everything over here is blessed. Maybe no drastic changes yet because Mercury is still retro, so no crazy new hair that you've not done before. Little changes, getting semi-permanent, hair color instead of permanent, that would be helpful as well if you want to switch things up. But basically, just talking about how we can express by spending focused time on one another. Okay? Venus rules Libra. So it is really happy here. We are able to appreciate beauty in one another. We're able to appreciate and be grateful for the relationship we have built so far. And we have a natural knack for aesthetics at this point. There can be some wardrobe changes I'm feeling here, right? It is possible. The Venus in Libra here wants to find fairness in the world. So if this is not about just one-on-one connections, it's just others in general, then it wants to have everyone on equal footing. And since Libra is cardinal again, it wants to do something about it. You might be curious about how can you help, and you're coming from a very affectionate place here. It's easier to connect and relate with people one-on-one. You find some relatable topics. Again, you see a bit of yourself in others, and through others you can also develop more appreciation for yourself. Libra is represented by the scales here. Okay, so it can have when it is skewed, when there is like trigger points on either one of these sides, then it can forget to rebalance itself, or it does not really, it kind of wants to go on action based on that trigger, right? Cardinal sign is action oriented, but it's important to bring ourselves back to center before we take an action. So pros and cons, looking at the bright side and the downside of any new changes, being fair in your opinions and your perspective and how you're coming across here, that is very important. That also helps you not attach yourself to a situation or person too much before knowing enough information from them or that situation, and also to not become too apathetic and distant before you get to know that person and situation. Now, last thing, we have on 30th of September, Mercury in Virgo, which is retrograde, is opposite Neptune in Pisces, which is also retrograde. Amazing time for internal intuition. Creative solutions are a little bit hard to find on the fly, because when both are moving direct, then it just comes to us and we're like, inspiration, let's write this down while driving, while walking, while running. Things like that. But when it is retrograde, we have to ask the right questions, we have to look for the answers, and we will stumble across blocks along the way, but those blocks are actually redirecting us towards some other sources that we have not seen. So it works in a very roundabout way here, but you can really, if you want to have answers, you can follow that trail of events or thoughts, and you will find that intuitive and creative spark that you're looking for. Inner self is going to bring you the answer, reworking on past ideas, the things that you have noted down already, working on those things, things you've already done, but you're taking a fresh look at things. That can also be very productive here. Editing is really good at this time. Final drafts and things like that, this is not a nice time. It's really about learning to tune in. Really, it's a very intuitive one here. We need to zone into ourselves. Yeah, that's how we are ending on a very quiet note. Really curious what happens in October, but this is what we have for you. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope these astrological configurations make sense to you, and that the solutions also help you out and move along with the month freely. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure to check your tarot reading for the month ahead in the zodiac form. So whatever zodiac, sun, moon, or rising you are, you can check the video for that. It'll be posted on my channel. So I will see you there. Until next time, take care. Bye.